We're gonna apply some super penetrating oil onto this large Sapelli slab. We're gonna apply the super pen. The first thing to do is make sure you stir it up or shake it up very well. So you always make sure you stir up your Odies oils because they can separate during shipment. And this jar super pen gets about the same coverage as the regular oil. This piece here is African Sapelli, and it's not a super dense wood, but it's fairly dense. It's probably about the density of oak. So let's say we got 48 square feet on the surface here. I'm gonna use probably 2 ounces on this piece here. So I'm gonna use a white pad to apply the finish. The top was sanded to 800 grit, but we're gonna apply it with a white pad because a white pad's rated about 0. We don't wanna put any scratches in the surface. And the first part of the application, the applicator, the Scotch-Brite's gonna absorb a lot of the finish. But work the finish in circular motions and use very, very little super penetrating oil. The whole purpose of this product is to penetrate deep into the surface, but it is a slower curing than the regular oil. So it generally just keeps migrating into the surface. So you don't want to flood the surface. If you flood the surface, you'll put too much oil on, it'll get oversaturated, and then you'll have a really hard time getting it off. So very little, just enough to change the color of the wood. And I use this as a base coat. And I like to use it on a big piece like this because it's a stabilizing coat as well. It goes deep into the surface and then it resides where water used to be in the tree before it was dried. So its general purpose is to fill those voids inside the piece so that moisture transference is down to a minimum. Don't use a trowel. Do not use a credit card. Do not use a putty knife to apply this finish. Just use the Scotch-Brite pad. If you use a putty knife or a credit card or a trowel, 9 times out of 10 you're putting too much oil on. Way too much. The whole purpose is to just work it in with a Scotch-Brite pad or a Merca Merlon pad. You're wasting money and you're wasting time because it makes your job much harder to buff it off. In fact, if you're a newbie to Odies, I don't want you to use a machine. I'd rather you just use the pad and do it by hand. And you're gonna get far better results. And then once you understand the product and how much you use, then you can graduate into using a machine. Once again, no gloves needed, no mask. It smells pleasant in here. It's got the normal smell of the Odies oil. It's a nice floral scent. Now I'll go ahead and put a little more oil on this section. And over the next 24 hours, this oil will keep penetrating deeper into the wood, therefore making the wood richer, darker, and more stable. And my next coat after this will be regular Odies oil. And I'll wait at least 24 to 48 hours before I apply the next coat, which would be the Odies oil. And then once I'm done working it into the surface, I'll let it set up for about an hour, let it work itself into the wood, and then I'll, like always, with all the Odies products, I'll buff it off with a cotton terry towel. And usually I like to do my final working in of the oil in the direction of the grain to make sure I got it all covered and it's all soaking in evenly. There you go, the top is finished. Now, a lot of people ask me questions about the live edge. How are you gonna get the finish on the live edge? Same process. So the live edge is real easy to coat, small amount of oil on the pad, and then just work it in. That easy.